Bwana karibu. Welcome so much.
Asante sana.
Today, I'm lucky to be here with Gudrun Columbus Mwanyika as part of the Africa Cinema Festival in Bayreuth and part of the Africa Multiple Cluster. Gudrun, who starred in the film Tug of War, is with us for an interview, and the film was shown as the inaugural film at the cinema as part of this festival. Would you like to say a little bit about yourself before I go into the questions about the film?
Yeah, as you've already introduced me, my name is Gudrun Columbus Mwanyika, from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. I'm an actor and film and television personnel, also working on theater too. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the film that we saw, Tug of War, or Vuta N Kuvute, tells the story of your character Dengé and Yasmin, and their love story and their struggle in the politically charged atmosphere of 1950s Zanzibar.
Yeah.
Before going a little bit more into the details of the film, could you tell us a little bit about the filming process, the casting process, when and where you filmed, how long it took, the basics of that sort of thing? Yeah.
Okay, so I will say on my part as an actor, because I mean the whole production took like 3 to 4 years, and I wasn't part of the pre-production. So my first look of Tug of War was in 2019 July, where I saw the poster that there is an audition for the actors for the film called Tug of War, directed by Adam Shafis. I personally know the director, Adam Shafis. He was my lecturer at the University of Dar es Salaam by the time I was taking my bachelor degree in theater, film, and television. So I know how great he is, and I had to take a boat from Dar es Salaam to Zanzibar for the audition. Yeah, it was one of my toughest audition ever, because on my day, I think I went on the second day of the audition, and my number was like 182. Wow. And there were like 300 people waiting on the line for the audition.
And so those people were all from Zanzibar and Tanzania?
All over Tanzania, and even out of Tanzania, like plus my fellow co-actor, she's from Mombasa, so some people came from Mombasa, from Pemba, from Dar es Salaam, and a lot of Zanzibarians, of course. Okay. So yeah, I was part of the first round, and I passed the first round. I had the callback, and I went for the second audition. This is much more on character chemistry between the casting. Is part of the casting process. So yeah, I made it to the second part, and I was supposed to start the research. Of course, I was given some direction that you don't need to cut your hair and stuff. Yeah. And starting my own research on the history of Zanzibar first, and to get to know Zanzibar itself, its history, and of course people of Zanzibar. This was like a personal job. And 1 month before we started shooting, I went to Zanzibar, and I stayed there like for 1 month specifically for research, working with people in Zanzibar, get to know people, talk to people, older people, young people, just to make trust with them. As you know, I'm from Tanzania mainland. It's not easy to be accepted in Zanzibar if you're from mainland and you want to work there, especially in the thing that represent themselves.
So preempted one of my next questions already.
Thank you. I'm glad I did that. So yeah, I created trust with them. Of course, during the pre-production of the film, there is this a girl who also did the costume design called Hawa Hisa Ali. She did a very good research and write some papers, so it will be easy for me to guide. For the whole production team. Is like a guided line for their research on their specific needs.
And so the filming was all done on Zanzibar?
Yeah, the film was all done on Zanzibar with like 1 month. Yeah, I think 1 month shoot. Like
so a very short timeline? Or
yeah,
was it okay for you?
I think it was okay. It was tough, like I personally as the main character, I was on set like every day for those 28 days. So yeah, it was tough shooting, but it was fun because the set was more international. We had a cinematographer from South Africa, we had the sound guy from French, we had the production designer from America, we had, I mean, the producer, of course, also the co-producer, other producer, he's from South Africa. So for me, it was also part of learning process. You know, we don't stop learning this production.
This was also your first feature film.
Yeah, this was my first feature film, and lucky me.
Lucky you to have so much experience and have such a success with the film as well. Then my next question comes to exactly what you were saying. You did this research that you're from Tanzania. You told me the other day that you're Dar es Salaam born and bred. So why Dengé? Why did you choose to audition for this revolutionary Zanzibari? What was it about his character, complex character, that drew you to him? And what did you like and dislike about him?
Okay, first I agree with you, it's a very complex character, but as we know, the film is adapted from the novel called Vuta N Kuvute by the Adam Shafis. I know the novel back in school. I read the novel back in school, in high school, but I was in the boys' school, and by the time, I mean, you know, back in school, you just read to pass the exams, of course, but that was different. Like, it was touching. Everyone was talking about the story of Yasmin, not Dengé in the book, the story of Yasmin. And because the Shafis wrote her very, very, I don't know how to say it, like...
you can use the Swahili if you want as well, if it's easier for you.
Even I don't know how to say even Swahili, you know, the way...
Beautifully.
Okay, beautifully. I'm not sure, but beautifully. So, and by the time I heard about the audition, I had to read again the book so I could be familiar. My first intent with the film was to be part of the production. So I said to myself, like, okay, you should read the book. If you want to work on this project, maybe we will get a chance to interview or to pitch to get a job. So read again the book. By the time I was reading it again, I found that Dengé so connected to myself. Okay, in my normal struggles, in my normal hustles as a Tanzanian guy who trying to make it in a life, you know. And then I also see the opportunity that I could have in the film as Dengé to express the thing that you cannot say it, like you cannot express in a normal environment. So maybe use art and stuff. And then I decided, I'm gonna audition for this Dengé. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to be Dengé because Dengé is reckless, so reckless, so focused. It's not a normal Zanzibarian guy or a normal Tanzanian guy, even normal African guy, of course. I don't know how to say it because the history of Dengé, he went to
Russia. And came back
before Russia, he went to Egypt. The backstory is that back in the days, those young Zanzibarians who were very interested in politics, they were taken to Egypt, learn some Russians and some basic stuff, and went to Russia to start the communist and coming back to Zanzibar. So he coming back with a lot of different behavior, which, So I wasn't smoking by the time. Actually, I quit. I was smoking, but I quit smoking cigarettes.
Oh, no.
And by the time I had the character in developing it, I had to smoke it again. So I had the sense, of the character. It wasn't easy. So when you say, I mean, for what's good and what's bad. What's good, I think Dengé is someone that people need in any society. We need people like Dengé too, people who can speak out what people can say, people who can stand for others, people who can fight for the truth, they can fight for the freedom or whatever, which is they found that is supposed to be right. And Dengé did it by his own ways. It doesn't matter which ways, but he did it. That was he needed, and he wasn't doing that for himself only, but for the people of Zanzibar and for the people, for his friends, his society. And I like it. I like it because I grew up as a lead, I think. Since my childhood, I was always in front, you know, asking questions, trying to figure out things, leading my fellow, I mean,
your classmates.
Classmate. I was a monitor. I was a minister in the high school. No, in the high school. Okay. In university, it's very political. Like, you have to be a real politician to be part of the student cabinet in university. You know, I studied in the University of Dar es Salaam. That's like the hub of politics, of diplomacy, for everything.
That brings me to my next question.
Okay.
So as we were saying before, the film is based on pre-revolution Zanzibar. And maybe for those who don't know, the revolution happened in 1964, and subsequently Tanzania was unionized with the mainland of Tanganyika. And this issue remains a sore point, a topic of conversation and controversy amongst both Zanzibaris and mainlanders in Tanzania. So I know that there were some screenings for the public in Zanzibar. What I would like to know is, how did they react? Both to the message of the film, but also to some of the more perhaps intimate scenes, which are perhaps a bit more controversial in that sense. And what did you think they liked about the film, and what did they not like?
Okay, we had our first Zanzibar premiere in December 2021. It was full house, like we did it in the Old Fort Ngome Kongwe, one of the very famous.
It was even in the movie, right?
It's in the movie. In the movie. In the prison. The prison scenes we shot there at Old Fort, and we had like 1,500 people who came there and watched the film in a big screen. I really like I really love the audience because they were shouting at the screen. It's different to here. I mean, to everywhere actually. People talk to the screen. People connect with the character. People connect with the spaces. People connect with everything, the lighting. People, they can tell. Okay, as you can see, the light guy, the guy who put the light on and puts the light on. Actually, okay, the guy in the film, his grandfather, he used to do it in the real time, back in the days. So people still have those memories, but it's not even written, or people just heard the story from generation to generation. And finally, they come to see it on screen, big screen. It was amazing how people react to the screen, how people react to what character does. And I think people also love Dengé because people, I mean, there were a lot of Dengés in Zanzibar, and they are forgotten, you know? Those people, they are forgotten. People who fight for I mean, behind the
scenes,
behind
the leaders.
Behind, they were not, like we say, ground soldiers, you know? Those ground soldiers of the revolution, Chemko, what can I say, like Vugu Vugu,
the movement, the political, the grassroots.
The grassroots of the revolution. There were a lot of those people, and most of them were killed, jailed, you know, running away from Zanzibar because of the British, you know.
I apologize.
For
my ancestors.
It wasn't my problem. So people had those stories, they knew those stories, but it's not written anywhere, or it's hard to find those stories. But for them to see it on screen and to see like people like us represent it, it was so amazing. People love it and enjoy the film also, I think so.
And you talk about the scene I love you talked about with the man on the bicycle turning on and off the lights, which also for me was a very nice scene because it's shot in one of the places where I learned Swahili. So but I like this link that you talk about of his grandfather used to do this, and there's another grandchild in the movie. So the focal point between Dengé and Yasmin of this love story is Mwajuma. And Mwajuma is the one who effectively brings these two together. And she's portrayed by Siti Amin, as you say. Could you tell us who her grandmother was and what it was like to work with her, and why is it so important that she was in the film?
Okay, so why she's important, I can't tell that much because I'm not the director of the film, you know. I didn't cast her, but I enjoyed working with her. I love her. I know her before as a singer, a very famous singer. Her grandmother, Siti, what was
Siti Binti Saad?
Yeah, Siti Binti Saad. She was amazing singer. She was also activist, you know, through her poem, through her music. And finally, I had a chance to act with her granddaughter, who also, she's a very famous singer in Zanzibar. I love her music, and she's an amazing actor too. But why is she so important in the film? Like the character of Mwajuma, not like Siti as a Siti, but the character of Mwajuma is like, Mwajuma represents the women of the Zanzibarian, like, they are the ones who keep the Dengé safe, people like Dengé safe. They are so welcoming, you can see. They're welcoming. As you can see, Yasmin, she ran away from her family, her husband, and she found herself to Mwajuma with no guru. She took her in and be friend the same way she took Dengé in and his crew in. Like the Mwajuma's house was like our secret house, you know.
Your safe space.
Yeah, safe space. We were all safe. As you can see, Dengé is taking perfect and put in Mwajuma's house. Like, I do believe here is a safe space because they know, I mean, the women of Zanzibar, they know the struggle, they know the movement. I'm not sure if they believe it, but they believe in their people. Like, they know things are not right, and this is the only way we can make it right, by supporting these fighters, by supporting the movement, and of course by using our talent to express what's going on through music, through poetry. I think is a very important character in the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you said that music and poetry is very important in the film. I personally am working on my PhD on Swahili poetry, so I know all about how important poetry is to Zanzibar.
Congrats, man.
Thank you. There are a lot of scenes where either Mwajuma sings famous Tarab songs. We see the scenes in for example, Kijiti. Yes. We see the scenes in the clubs. We see the scene in Karamji Hall at the beginning.
Yeah.
How important was music and knowing about the music on set and for you whilst you were making the film? Like, was it very obvious that these things were coming up, or did you find out afterwards when you watched the film?
I knew that it's gonna be kind of musical because, okay, I want to tell you this. I think I've never tell anyone this. I'm telling you this, like you. While we were doing table leading, our first table leading, there was this Kijiti song where Dengé is just drawn, and Kijiti was one of the favorite Dengé song, and Mwajuma sang it. So I found myself tearing while she was singing on table leading. And that was very touching. And that's, I found out, okay, so that means these scenes with this music, it make more meaning, especially touching feelings, and people connect with it. If I personally connect with it, I do believe people connect with it. And of course, I know Siti, there is Karimji on set, we heard the music. in cities where perform with Mlandege, Cuban Marimba. Those are very famous old band. So I knew it's going to be musical, and it's kind of musical actually. Very musical. I'm not sure if it like.
So I was very touched by the difference between this opening scene in Karimjee Hall, where we have the singer and the musicians dressed in their uniforms and their fezzes, and the singer is sort of very spaced out, and nobody's really listening to her. And then we have the like attack to call for freedom in Zanzibar. And you compare that to the scenes in Gambo with the Mlandege and Cuban Marimba. And I think it was a really beautiful moment. Perhaps it's something more for the director, but this idea, this difference between the sort of the oppressors coming and trying to take the music and not really appreciating it, and the locals who live and breathe that music and that poetry. And so I want to bring it on to that. Kimbunga, the printing press at the end of the film. They want to bring the printing press onto the island, and they say that they're going to name the newspaper, this revolution newspaper, Kimbunga, or the hurricane. Could you explain what the significance of that is? Why is that significant? Maybe you don't have to say the political meaning. Just explain the background behind what is Kimbunga. Where does it come from?
That's mostly director's question.
Well, the poet.
I mean, it's one of the very famous piece, Kimbunga. I was read it back in school, I think, taught in school, and the way it was represented is that it is like a secret code for those revolutionists, like. If you recite Kimbunga in front of me, I know you're one of me. And that's what happened while Yasmin took over Dengé's job after Dengé goes to jail. Lipua, the leaders, they don't know Yasmin, but they suddenly trust her just because of that code, Kimbunga. I think it has very big meaning because, okay, you can tell about the poet. I don't want to tell about the poetry itself, about the piece. Maybe you can explain.
So yeah, the poem is very, very famous from probably the most famous Zanzibari poet of recent times. Unfortunately, he passed away just a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. His name is Haji Gora Haji. And as Gudrun is saying, the image is of a hurricane that comes and destroys the crops and takes things away. But this idea, and I really like it in the way it's used in the film and used as well as a metaphor for the revolution, is that it shows how much poetry is important to Zanzibari society. Okay, I have one last question. Last question. What one thing do you want people to take away from your portrayal of Dengé? When people come and watch the film and see you, what do you want them to remember about Dengé?
Yeah, of course. Honestly, I want people to see Dengé as one of the people who were behind the revolution, who did the very great job underground, paving the way to the actual revolution. And those people were not really complimented. They
weren't mentioned. They weren't credited.
Not credited.
They never got any credit.
Never got any credit. They've never written anywhere. Actually, the history of Zanzibar itself is so blinded. Okay, I remember I heard this from the director during the pre-production. They couldn't even find a picture of Zanzibar in 1950s from the perspective of the Africans. The old pictures are about the railway, Carrefour, the crop, I mean, is so British. Everything from the
taking stock of all the crops. So the carrefour is the cloves, the spices.
Yeah,
Zanzibar is very important for the spices.
Yeah.
So it's very, very colonial. This images of taking the crops and the places that it is and the stories, but nothing of the life.
Nothing of the life, especially the people of Zanzibar.
Okay.
And that means even the people like Dengé, who played the very major role in paving the way to the actual revolution, they were not seen everywhere. So I want people to get to know there are those peoples like Dengé, not only Dengé, Chande, Mambo, Pazi, Dengé, his crew. There are a lot of those people.
Yeah. So
they
don't get this, so they're not forgotten.
They are not forgotten. That's what I really want people to get it.
So thank you so much, Asante Sana, for answering all of my questions, even the difficult ones.
I tried.
Just before we finish, I'd like to give you a chance. What's next for you, and how can people keep up to date with you? Do you have Instagram, these sorts of things?
Yeah, so of course I'm working, as I say, I'm working on film, theater, and television, and actually currently, I think after the next 2 months, I'm waiting for the next film. Actually, it's a very short film, another political thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like a Dengé of the modern day.
Well, kind of. I don't want to talk about it because I didn't even given the actual script.
Okay.
So yeah. I'm on Instagram as Gudrun Columbus, on Facebook, Gudrun Columbus Mwanyika. YouTube, you can also find my personal work there as Gudrun Mwanyika, my short film that I did in normal days. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that all of those are underneath the video so people can follow those links.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here and the rest of the festival.
Thank you. I can't wait for the Tonight movie.
Okay.